I see somebody that's been friends with somebody for 10 years, like a sister. You're the godmother to this little guy. And I'm sorry. I don't see any remorse. I don't see any emotion from you. Danielle, why are you here?
I'm here today because when my son was 6 months old, he was beaten very badly. He had 12 fractures from behind the side of his ear until the other side, and then there was many fractures off the big fractures. And through that, it caused him permanent brain damage. And behind your eye, there are these nerve endings that go into your brain. They're called optic nerve endings. When he was hit so hard that those nerve endings were shattered. The doctors told me that the injuries were so bad and they sat for so long that my little boy was going to die.
How could this possibly happen to a little boy?
I was over at my best friend's house, my son's godmother. She's been my best friend since we were in 7th grade. She was like my sister. Her family was my family. It happened the night of August 12th, 2009. They tested the blood back to see what date the injuries happened because they knew that they were old injuries. It came back saying the night of August 12th, which was Tierra's birthday, Taneika's sister. I was in the hospital for those days from the 12th to the 16th. And I tried to get a hold of Taneika the night of the 12th. I could not get a hold of her. And so I talked to her sister the next day when I was in the hospital, and Tierra told me that that she was mad because her sister took all of her birthday money, went out to the bar, spent all of her birthday money at the bar. She said that she had the next day on the 13th, and she said he was just throwing up, and that's all he was doing is just, you know, throwing up and crying. And now Taneika's trying to say that it wasn't her, and then, you know, at first she was saying that she wasn't even at the bar that night, and then she was at the bar that night, and I would just want to know who had my son.
And she was responsible for watching your son that night?
Yeah, and she decided to go out to the bar instead of watching my little boy. When she went out to that bar that night, she left him with somebody. If I ever suspected her of ever hurting my son, I would have never left him there with her. When he was with her, he was supposed to be with her.
Do you believe that she really doesn't know who she left her son with?
She knows something because she put lie after lie after lie on top of me. I had to fight for them to reopen the case to give everybody polygraph tests. My boyfriend and I went in for polygraph tests. I was hooked up to that machine for 6 hours straight. He was hooked up for 5 hours straight, and she refused to take hers. I'm sorry, if you're being accused of something that you are 100% innocent of doing, the first thing you want to do is stand up and prove yourself innocent and say, no.
And how is your son now? I mean...
My son has... They told me they said my little boy was going to die, but if he did survive, he would be completely blind and for the rest of his life. I do not work anymore. All I do in my life, day in and day out, I have recovery appointments for my son. I have him in physical therapy. I have him in occupational therapy. I have him in speech. We work with Cincinnati Association for the Blind. That's my little boy on Trick or Treat. We have early intervention specialists. We have Help Me Grow. I have him in swimming lessons in the evening. He's not even 2 yet, and he tested around a 4-year-old level. He is above average.
Let's bring her out and find out what happened.
Really, Danielle? Really?
Yeah,
After
really,
10
Taneika.
years, you want to blame me?
10 years, yeah, Taneika. I got the
you,
blood results. The blood results came back and said the night of August 12th.
Was with him? Really?
No,
you
he was with him. He was
You're
with
such
him.
the world's
Your
greatest
sister
mom.
told me.
The world's greatest mom, right? But you was somewhere always stuck up Zach's.
I went for 22 days straight.
I had that baby more than you.
I want to know about my son. Why did you go to the bar? Why? Why did you go to the bar when you said? No.
Right? I couldn't drink in the bar. I wasn't 21
I
yet.
just want to know what happened to my son. This is absolutely, no. I want to know what happened to my little boy.
Me too, because I want justice for him just as much as you do.
You know what? If you did, then you would have taken the polygraph test in the first place.
I took one test. That was the voice test.
I've taken 3.
I only took 1. That's all he wanted from me, was 1 test. And I gave it to him, and that was that. Never heard anything else.
Taneika, you've known her for a long time?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. Good friends?
Best friends.
Best friends.
She's like my sister.
But then something very tragic happened to this little boy.
Right.
Serious injuries were...
I was there at the hospital, I know.
He's
I
gonna
was there. I'm the one who said, let's take him to the hospital.
I said let's take him to the hospital.
Really?
I took him 4 times.
And who was with you the 2 times when they started saying he was just
The last 2
dehydrated?
because you were like, well, what's wrong with him? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
questions.
In July, I told you there was something wrong with your baby.
No, it didn't even happen in July. It happened
In
August
July,
12th.
your baby was not right in July.
Okay, I'm sure the blood results lied, Taneika. I'm sure the doctors are lying.
At some point, they find out that he's got permanent brain damage, major head trauma, blindness, and he was in your care.
Right.
How did this happen?
I have no idea. I have no
Oh,
idea.
I mean-
We need an idea.
Okay, hold on a second. Here we have a little boy, and she says, "Here, can you watch my son?" You say yes, and the boy ends up with injuries that almost
So you could go to the bar.
that almost killed him.
Right.
Well, I would think, and as a parent, I would demand an answer to how this happened to my son.
That's what I want to know.
Well, were you not in charge of her son?
I had him, but once I have him, it's like everybody in my family has him too. That's how much we
No,
all
when you
care
have
about
him,
that
you
man.
have him.
You were giving him to watch while she was in the hospital or wherever she was at. You were supposed to be watching him. Why weren't you watching him?
I had to drive my mom to the bar so that she didn't get into too much trouble at the I was her designated driver. That's what it was.
She needs to find someone else that's not watching my kid then.
That's
Not
what
go to
it
the
was.
bar.
Listen. Think about what you just said. Play it back in your mind. I had to drive my mom to the bar.
That's what I did, yeah. That's what I did. That's not stupid. If my mom can't drive, who's supposed to drive her there?
Maybe she could take a night off from drinking.
Okay.
Why do you think her boyfriend had something to do with it?
I think because Zach, when we was in school, Zach didn't like black people. Now you're with somebody who has a mixed son.
He has 2 children
That
that
didn't
are
make
mixed.
sense. And then on top of that, for example, one night that I went to her house, Zach's laying beside the baby. He doesn't even hear him crying, but I do.
You believe he has something to do with it? Let's bring him out.
First of all, you didn't even know me in school.
I did?
No, you didn't.
Really?
You were in her grade. I was in a
Exactly.
grade lower. I never
I
hung
didn't
out
know
with
you.
you.
I didn't even
I
know
got
Zach in
2
school.
little
Really?
boys that call me dad that are black.
Oh, that's
okay?
good.
So the racist card is gone. If anybody's racist, it's you. He's half white too.
Okay, and my
Yeah.
aunt's like,
Get
what
your
you talking
story
about?
straight.
My story's been
Your
straight.
story straight is
Right.
that I've been sitting backstage listening to everything you say. You just
My
lied
story's
like
straight.
20 times.
Prove
Yeah.
Took off the show
And
like
I
3
saw-
times.
Sister's text messages, okay? She did text Danielle and say, "Oh,
I
she
don't know
left,"
nothing
and,
about
and
that.
she
I have all
doesn't.
of it. I
have
she
all-
doesn't
all the
know.
papers I need.
Okay, and
Right.
Zach, I'm going to ask you straight out. Did you do anything to this baby?
no.
So you didn't shake the baby, you didn't hurt the baby, you did not harm this baby.
He is the best
And
father
what-
in the world.
Let him answer. So you didn't have anything to do with harming of this child.
No.
Do you believe that Taneika had something to do with this?
I believe she knows something. She's hiding something. Her story wouldn't have been changing 20 times if she wasn't hiding
Let alone for
something.
the
My
last
story
14 months.
hasn't changed at all. My story hasn't changed at all. That doesn't make sense.
Danielle, you're here today because you want to know what happened to your son. You want answers, you deserve answers, and I hope you get those answers.
I need answers for my little boy.
Danielle, you took a lie detector test before the show, and you were asked, do you know for sure who caused those injuries to your son? You answered no. Are you blaming Taneika to cover your abuse to your son? You answered no. Did you ever physically abuse your son? You answered no. Did you cause the injuries to your son in August 2009? You answered no. And the results for your lie detector test is that you told the truth. Zach, you took a lie detector test before the show, and again, the only accusation against you whatsoever, the mother doesn't accuse you of anything. She says you're a wonderful
The
father.
hospital
police,
dates the blood back
everyone-
in his head to August 12th.
He
I
wasn't
was in
even
the
near
hospital.
Jaden that day.
You took a lie detector test
Yes, I
before
did.
the show. You were asked, are you a racist? You answered no. Are you blaming Taneika to cover your abuse to Danielle's son? You answered no. Have you ever physically abused Danielle's son? You answered no. Did you cause injuries to Danielle's son? You answered no. And the results for Zach's lie detector test is that you told the truth. I see somebody that's been friends with somebody for 10 years, like a sister. You're the godmother to this little guy. And I'm sorry. I don't see any remorse. I don't see any emotion from you. And I even haven't heard an apology. Like, I'm really
Never.
sorry.
It's been 14 months, not once, never.
Whatever.
It's true.
That's so alive.
You deny it until still you're still
Yeah,
you don't
you're
know
still going whatever about everything.
Whatever. 14 months later.
Because if I knew Danielle, I would have been right there like, hey, this is what happened.
Taneika, you took a lie detector test before the show, and you were asked, do you know for sure who caused those injuries to Danielle's son? You answered no. Have you ever hit Danielle's son? You answered no. Did you cause any of Danielle's son's injuries in August of 2009? You answered no. Did you abuse Danielle's son? You answered no. And the results for your lie detector test is that you did not tell the truth.
On what question? That's what I want to know.
You tell me if I'm wrong. You went out that night because it was somebody's birthday, and I don't give a damn whose birthday it was, but you did go to a bar, and you weren't just listening to music, and you had some drinks, and you got intoxicated. Yes, I don't need a lie detector test to tell me that you're not telling the truth. You went to the bar, and you had drinks, and you came home, and maybe that baby was crying a little bit too much.
Oh, no,
and you wanted to go to
there's
sleep.
not a bone in my body that would
and
hurt a
maybe
baby.
when you picked up that
No.
baby and started shaking that baby.
No, never.
And maybe that baby made you mad.
Nope.
And maybe you caused injuries to that
Nope.
baby. Maybe that's why your sister doesn't want to answer.
Nope.
Maybe she doesn't want to admit to who's in the house.
No.
And you couldn't get even your story straight for 5 minutes up here.
No.
And I think you did cause
I don't.
harm to that baby.
I don't at all. At all. I don't. Not at all.
What do you want to say to her?
I want to beat her ass, but the reason we're here is because of violence. It needs to stop now. It needs to stop no matter how angry I feel. I feel like I'm about to throw up right now. Like everything, this like feels like it's not real right now. Like I just want to take her and smash her head in the ground 12 times. Rip Two wrongs don't make a right, and I know I'm right.
You know, you're a cold person. As simple as that. And what you did or what you are covering up for your sister or for you, I don't know what you're doing. But you know what? Maybe you don't pay a price here. Maybe you pay a price when you get back home. Maybe you pay a price after you pass away. I hope that day comes. That baby deserves justice. You can get the hell off my stage. Your little boy suffered serious injuries.
Yes, sir.
And I hope that somehow, some way, that justice is done for
We're
your
going
son.
straight to the detective's
I hope-
office as soon as we get off the plane. You
And
better believe.
I hope whoever did this is brought to justice. I hope you get that someday for yourself and for your son. Whatever we can do to help, please go back, contact the authorities.
I will.
We will cooperate in any way that we can. I wish you all the luck in the
I
world.
thank you and your staff for everything you've done for my family. You've helped put this nightmare to rest for us. Thank you. Thank you for everything. You're a wonderful person.